All right, we are live. Hi, everyone. Hello, and good evening, good morning, wherever you're watching us from. Good afternoon, good night, or whatever the case may be. Good day, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. It's really a pleasure and it's really an honor once again to have this section again with and this interaction with the community as well. And as we've been publicizing for a while now, especially on this particular project, there's so much to learn, and I'm really excited about this. And it's really good, and I'm really happy and joyful that I'm actually here today as well. Wow, I'm seeing a couple of people that that I mean it's really nice to have them around. Um, yeah, if so for everyone that is actually joining us, if you just say hi, hello on the chat. I would really love to welcome each and every one of us to joining us today in the event today. Thank you very much. Thank you for taking our time to join us today. And real quick, just more or less to break the ice here, I want to like kind of ask each and every so far what you've kind of like been working on so far. Myself, I've been working on a couple of things, and I really would love to like hear from the community what they've been working on in terms of cloud, in terms of AWS. What exciting project have you been up to lately? uh, yeah, you could actually like just put that on chat. You get to see that, and you get to learn what you've actually been working on and you did so far. And yeah, we have exciting speakers. We have awesome speakers. I just got interacting with about two of them now, and I mean it's been mind blowing so far. And I cannot really wait for the session in itself to start properly. And yeah, to our speakers, you're welcome. We are really honored and delighted to have you once again in our midst today. So yes, I would love to see what we'll be working on, what we'll be doing in the past few weeks. I know a couple of us have been involved in a couple of projects, so we'd like to know what tool you'll be working on or what tool you actually find interesting at the moment. And yes, once again, I want to say thank you very much once again. So while we are waiting in the next few seconds for more people to join, so we'll be able to begin the program and the event itself properly. So we'd love to see your comment on the chat as regards what you've been doing, what you've been working on for the past few days or few weeks, as the case may be. Yeah. Hello, Paul. Hello, Isiaka. Hello, Bulu Atife. Hello, Moses. Hello, Akim. Hello, Emmanuel. Wow. All right. I think I have a comment from Hakim. So he said in the past month he had deployed a containerized Node.js backend using EBS. Wow, that's wholesome to hear. That's lovely. Please keep them coming. Keep them coming. So once again, you're welcome to today's event. Just as we all know, today's event is about upskilling to get hired and proving pathways to AWS career success. And we have amazing speakers that will get to like really touch on this and get to give us a whole insight into this. So you're welcome once again. Just relax, sit back and enjoy the section. So keep on coming with the comments. We'd love to see more comments from you to have an idea of what you've been working on so far. Yes, we are seeing the comments. We are going through the comments just to see more comments. Wow. Okay. I think I saw one now from Paul. So Paul Aderoju said he worked on Amplify with Amplify S3 and API gateway and some Lambda function in the past week. Wow, awesome. Those are a couple of list of services on AWS that you worked with. That's amazing to hear. Wow, interesting. So Emmanuel Ogre is saying he's preparing to take his AWS solutions architect exam. Wow, lovely. I think you might get one or two tips from our speakers here today. Wow, lovely and awesome, awesome. Yeah, so keep on coming with the comments. All right. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining in once again. So, I mean, because we don't have so much time on our plate here, so we'd quickly like diving into the program. So, as I mentioned earlier on, I want to welcome each and every one of us for joining this event. It's a panel section where we get to like learn from the experiences of our speakers on how they were able to navigate their way towards landing their first role and having an AWS career success. We'll be learning how they've been able to navigate from the way, I mean, from the place of having certifications to actually landing a role in itself. So yeah, just sit back tight and just have a great time as well. So I would more or less be handing over now to I'll be handing over to my colleague that will be giving us the introduction of the panel section as well as introducing our speakers. Thank you very much once again. Over to you, Moses.
Um, Hi everyone. Welcome once again to today's event. Emmanuel, welcome. Olami, Mr. Cardivi George, I welcome you. So going further, we'll be diving deep into an essential and very important topic for everyone looking to kickstart or advance their career in cloud computing. So we have some panel lined up for you. We'll be looking at upskilling to get hired. Like we'll be getting different ideas on proving pathways to AWS career success. So whether you're looking to be a solution architect, a DevOps engineer, a cloud architect, a cloud developer, even if you're one currently, and so on, this session is for you. So in this panel, we'll be exploring how to leverage AWS skills and certifications to unlock new career opportunities for ourselves. So we have our experts panelists here. They will share their personal experience. They will share industry insights and strategies to help you stand out in this competitive job market. So whether you are just getting started or you are aiming to level up in your cloud journey, this discussion is designed to provide you with the necessary tools you need, the guidance, even the motivations you need to succeed. Because we need to get motivated to do these things because it's we all know how the cloud space is, which is really taxing and all. So going forward, I'll be introducing our panelists. So we have incredible panelists lined up today, and I'm excited to introduce you to our three distinguished panelists. Okay, I think we have two on seat currently. First of all, I'd like us to meet Mr. Oluwaseun Alausa. I'll be doing a quick bio. Oluwaseun is a versatile network, cloud, and DevOps engineer with over 6 years of experience. He also possesses DevOps and DevSecOps expertise, including ensuring efficient and secure solutions in the cloud environment. He has over 2 years of experience as a trainer. He has trained over 200 participants in cloud and DevOps and also manages a YouTube channel which is dedicated to sharing his knowledge. Oluwaseun has a proven reputation for delivering flexible, scalable, and secure cloud solutions using the AWS well-architected framework. He collaborated seamlessly with business stakeholders to achieve project objectives on time. He's a visionary, he's a professional. He excels in researching and adopting new technologies aligned with strategic business needs. He's meticulous, he's creative, and adaptable to diverse work cultures. Mr. Oluwaseun, I don't know if you have anything to say to the audience.
Yeah, welcome everybody. It's great to have to be here with you. Thank you so much for the privilege. So let's get right into the conversation.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. Next up is Mr. Cardivi George. We can see him here already. Mr. Kadivi is a seasoned DevOps engineer with over 3 years of experience, specializing in cloud infrastructure and automation. He is proficient in Docker, Kubernetes, Terraform, Ansible, and CI/CD pipelines. So for most of us that are looking to dive into DevOps or DevOps engineering, Mr. George is the right person. So Mr. Judd has mastered tools like Jenkins to streamline and optimize development workflow. Currently, he's working at Global Accelerex. Mr. George has demonstrated strong leadership by spearheading large scale projects, and monitoring colleagues in key technologies such as Jenkins. His ability to lead teams and solve complex technical challenges makes him a valuable asset in any cloud or DevOps environment, coupled with multiple certifications under his belt, including AWS DevOps Engineer Professional, AWS SciOps Associate, and AWS Solutions Architect. George continues to expand his knowledge. He's actively pursuing the AWS Security Specialty and Certified Kubernetes Administrator certifications to enhance his expertise. Welcome, Mr. George. Do you have anything to say to the audience?
Good evening, everyone. I'm very excited to be here. So I'm looking forward to share my experience with you guys. Welcome. Thank you very much.
Um, Thank you very much, Mr. George. Welcome. And finally, I'll be introducing the last panelist, Anna Ozor. She will join us shortly. Anna Ozor is a seasoned IT professional with extensive experience across multiple sectors, including software engineering, cloud computing, and technical consulting. She has strong foundation in backend development, IT operations, and cloud technologies. Um, okay, she's not here yet. So once she's around, we'll be hearing from her. Thank you everybody. And welcome today's event. So I'll be handing over to my colleague to continue. Thank you everyone.
Thank you very much, Moses, for introducing our speakers and our panelists. Thank you very much for that. So Adewale will be taking on from this moment on forward to moderate the panel session with our speakers. But before he goes into that, I just more or less want to just throw a quick light into what this panel section is really about. So a lot of time we are always looking at when we're getting started with our journey on the cloud, we're always looking at learning the skills, we're always looking at getting certifications, but the bridge of we getting to actually get a job after we've learned the skill, after we've backed certification is really where we are kind of like not really aligned on. We don't really know the necessary steps to take towards doing all of this. And I think that's what this section today is really focused about. How do we get to create a bridge between having to get certifications and learning a particular skill, and how do we get to land those desired roles that we're actually learning a skill for. So I think that's like the core thing a lot of us or a couple of people will be having challenges with. And yeah, we have speakers here today that will be sharing experiences and insights on how they were able to navigate this. And yeah, the person kind of be moderating this section will be one of my colleague as well, which is the person of Adewale Busari. Adewale, you have the floor now. Thank you very much all.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. And good evening, everyone. And thank you very much for joining us for today's session. And a special thank you to our speakers, Mr. Oluwasho Alausa and Mr. Kadiri George. We are very, very happy to have you join us for today's event. And We look forward to you sharing your insights, your experiences, your advice, your tips with every one of us here. So, to get started, I have a couple of things here with me that I would like us to discuss, and these are things that we believe people who are interested in getting a job as a cloud engineer would want to know. We all know how important it is to have someone who has the role of a mentor when we are trying to get into things or we're trying to learn things. So, for those of us who don't have that personal touch where we can go to meet people, if we have any issues, if we need any advice, I believe we are going to have very good opportunity to have some of the questions we have answered in today's event by our very two capable speakers who have walked the walk and talked the talk and walked the walk. They've done all that there is to be done as regards getting a job in the cloud. So I'll get started. I'll have some things to ask our speakers, and I will direct each question to one of the speakers. And once they're done, I'll go on with that. So I would like to start with Mr. Oluwaseun Hausa, and just for you to introduce yourself to our listeners, can you just tell us a short story of your cloud or your tech journey, how you got into tech? What are the things that got you interested? Just for every one of our listeners to know your backstory. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Once again, it's a privilege to be here, and I appreciate the organizers, my co-speaker, and everyone that is on the call today. So, thank you so much for having me. Well, my tech journey actually started, well, I would say in 2011 when I got my first job. Okay, but then if we're to look at the cloud journey started around 2019, thereabout, when I just started playing around with Google Cloud and AWS. And of course, from there, I was able to get in touch with someone in the US who basically introduced me to a project that we worked on together, which was more like a migration project. And we had to leverage quite a number of services on AWS, from NAT Gateway to Control Tower to Identity Center, and a whole lot of other things. Okay. But one thing that has been key for me is I've always been a curious person, and I'm not afraid to make mistakes. I'm not afraid to, break things. So anytime I come across something, I sit with it and just try as much as possible to get and understand, what that thing really is. And of course, from the very beginning, IT has been my passion. So for me, that is how the journey has been. I mean, just a summary of the old journey. I mean, just being conscious of time. Okay, so that's just what I would like to say for now. But of course, if there's any question, I would maybe expand more on the journey. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Lausa, for that very quick one. It's very useful for us. Mr. Khadri George, can you do the same and tell us your tech journey?
Okay, good evening, everyone. So, good evening to my co-speakers as well, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to be here. So, my tech journey started back at school there. We were part 4, so we are going for IT. Yeah, so all of my guys are going for let them go and just look for a way to get paid, get job or be like. So I was curious then because then it was just people were just doing. Everybody was about Android developer, and some people are like these people that do electronics. So we were curious of electronics then. So, but by me going for IT placement, looking for IT placement, so I discovered that it is not even beyond electronics. Let's move to software development. So, which I started with Python then and C Sharp. So, including my final year project, I was able to build automated biometric voting system as my project for my final year project. So, it started then. So, as about rounding up, so the I was curious about cloud computing. Then I was like, what is this cloud? What are they doing? Okay, okay, no problem. It's a future thing for me. Let me just get myself prepared. I decided. So, but fortunately, I had a boot camp with school.io. School.io give me the leverage for me to learn about the cloud. So they introduced me to the cloud actually. So in 2021, so early 2021. So I did a boot camp with them for like 3 months boot camp for them, which introduced us to the cloud. Then tell us. I was not curious. So you can just be provisioning something in your house managing server on top of your, just by having AWS accounts, and you'll be provisioning, doing whatever I want to do from cloud. Like, okay, let me give it a try. So since then I'll be curious and I'll be learning, and that's how I my tech journey started on the cloud as well. So that's from me. So if you have any question, I can shed more light on it.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Kadiri. That's very informative. And just to make a very quick summary of what has been said so far about this from both of our speakers, I think there is a theme that is reoccurring here for both speakers, and that's curiosity, because they both shared out they're very curious about the cloud, and that's one of the things that drew them into it. And it's quite reasonable that curious people would want to get into the cloud. It's one of the newest technologies in town, so if you are curious, you want to look at what's the new thing happening and what does it mean. So that's a good advice for all of us to let's be curious, not just about the cloud itself. There are a lot of new technology coming up that have to deal with the cloud also that we can it's also very, very useful for securing a job because the very new things that are just coming up are the ones that have the least qualified people. There are not enough people that are qualified to get into it. So if you get yourself there first, you have the first mover advantage to get a job quicker than if you go to a field that is already very populated. So let's put that in mind. They also made mention of grabbing the opportunities. Mr. Alausa talking about how he spoke to someone in the US and Mr. Kadiri talking about the boot camp he attended. So these are very important things that got their foot in the door for both of them. For us to, if we see anything that we think might open better opportunities to us, please let us grab it with both hands and give it the best shot. Mr. Lanza talked about him making mistakes. He's not afraid to make mistakes and break things. Let's also not be afraid. Try projects that you think you are interested in. Don't be afraid. You're going to be in debt with AWS or anything. They won't come and take you. They won't kill you. Try the things you can do, but of course, be very very sensitive to cost. You don't also want to burn a hole in your pocket for trying things out. And also, Mr. Kadri talked about carving your own path. He's trying to do things that others have not been doing. So if you find yourself doing things that you don't find many people doing, you may be on the right track, and that may be just the best track for you. So just keep on doing. I'll move on to the next thing that I want to ask our speakers, which is if you look at the current tech landscape in Nigeria, what are the things that Nigerians can do to give themselves competitive edge? Because we know the tech landscape is now global. There are companies with workers from all over the world, not just companies that are residents in their country, but from all over the world. That makes Nigerians a very, very valuable prospect for many companies, both within and outside Nigeria. So, as Nigerians, residents in Nigeria at the moment, what are the things we can do to give ourselves a good hedge in the global?
Okay.
Sorry, I don't know if the speaker has got the question from Adewale.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
which you going first, Mr. Oluwaseun? You can go first, no problem.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, then, Mr. Luashi, you go first. Then,
Okay.
thank you.
All right. Okay. All right. So, well, based on the question, the current tech landscape and the competitiveness. Now, what I would advise anyone that wants to, get into cloud, whether you want to get into cloud or any tech space at all, is number one, you must ask yourself some fundamental questions, right? And these are questions that I ask people who consult with me to say, "Oh, I want to, go into cloud. I'm interested. That is what I want to do." What I ask them is the question, why? Why do you want to get into cloud space? Because number one, it's a competitive space. And number two, it is a space that is fast paced, which means things are changing very rapidly. Now, another thing that I like to ask people is, are you looking for a job or are you trying to build a career? because they are two different things. Somebody who is looking for a job is ultimately looking to put food on his table, and that person may not necessarily be thinking about building a career in the first instance. So, what I ask people is, are you trying to look for a job just to put food on your table and be okay, or you are trying to build a career? Now, whichever response you give will determine, the approach you are going to take, when you want to delve into the cloud space at the end of the day. Because somebody who is looking for a job will probably do whatever it is they can do just to land the role. But somebody who is building a career will take their time to prepare for the journey because they know that there's a long road ahead. Is that okay? So now the tech space is competitive, no doubt about that. And you must do something that will set you apart. Now, for me, location, I don't think location is a barrier. Fine, we may have a little challenge in Nigeria, power issue, internet stability. I mean, all those things can be issues. But at the end of the day, you must put yourself in a position where you are valuable and everybody wants to work with you. All right. So what I tell people is if you want to take this as a career, then you must be able to do whatever it takes to stand out in the field. Because this is an area where you have a lot of people, right? I mean, if you're applying for a job today, you are not the only person applying. Thousands, hundreds of people are also applying from different parts of the world. So when you're putting in your application, you must know that, okay, what am I bringing to the table that is different from what the other applicants are bringing in? Okay. And if you want to navigate, all of that landscape, you must definitely be, I mean, somebody that is different. You must not just have certifications, as important as that is. You must be somebody that has the technical skill, and of course you can speak to the knowledge that you have. Okay. Everything that you have stated on your resume must be things that you can speak to and defend, because there's a growing trend now that you see people with, I mean, robust credentials, I mean, certifications all around, and then you interact with them and they can't even, explain the simple things, all right, to you. So just to summarize what I've said, you must be able to differentiate between whether you're looking for a job or you're looking to build a career, and you must be able to answer the question why. Why am I interested in tech? Because for a lot of people, it is just the salary they see on LinkedIn, and maybe some bootcamp tells them, "Oh, you finish this bootcamp with us, you're going to get a job, so amount of dollars, and all that." That is the motivation for some people. And I tell them, if money is your motivation, you're starting on the wrong path already. Okay, so that is just what I would say for now, and then of course we can expand on that thought as we go on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alausan. Mr. Kadri George, your turn.
Okay, so in my own view, so the tech landscape is like very fast rising now. Like we have the clouds and DevOps, blockchain, Web3, AI automation, and the like. So those are what the landscape is now. So it's now depend on you to know what do you want, because you need to find out, okay, what do you want to do? Which passion do you have for all this technology? Not just seeing this, I want to use one, I want to use this one, because they are very versatile. And the more you streamline to your own needs, okay, let me go for this one. I streamline it to this is maybe I want to go for automation. I want to go for blockchain. I want to go for Web3. I want to go for data. So all those things, once you be able to streamline your own tech landscape, okay, this is what to do. So the challenges that you will now face, maybe, oh, okay. For example, now you want to do cloud now, you know that this cloud, you must have certification to show for it or the likes. So the cost of no, these are based on our own exchange rate now. The cost of maybe you want to do solution architect is $150 now. For you to raise that $150 in naira equivalent to is about thousands of naira. So those are the challenges that you may face. But my own, what I would just advise anybody coming to the tech landscape is just to be focused on what you want. And like my co-speaker said, what is your motivation that drives you to do this thing? Is it the money or the passion? If you are looking for the money, as he said, you have started on the wrong note. Me, it was curiosity that made me start this class journey, because my friends are doing coding. I feel like what can I do differently from them? Actually, I said, okay, let me start. And the opportunity I saw with the boot camp, maybe okay, yeah. The more I even go deeper in the DevOps, in fact, there was a time I was even contemplating or even doing my own DevOps by doing my own ASP.NET Core by building my by continuing my software engineering domain, but I find out that I cannot combine these two together. There are so many things for me to learn in this workspace because I just started. I don't really know much then. So the more I even go deeper, the more I know that I know nothing. No, this tech space, as my schools are saying, is fast changing. Fast changing. Any small thing today, you may not be using it tomorrow. It's changing. Like in my own point of view, we use mostly proprietary, that is for a particular vendor. But people are using open source because of it is free and you don't need to pay much money because people are running from because of the cloud. So you need to look, okay, how can you mitigate that to your own? You can use some of the open source that is free, incorporate it with some of these proprietary services too, so that it will even reduce cost for you. So you need to know what you want to do. So that is my so the challenges that you may have as a Nigerian is very like power. If for certification you want to write exam because of doing this thing and the likes, and you getting a proper channel to say, okay, well, you want to go to the follow a pathway to guide. You may not have the pathway, but except you have a mentor or a mentee that will guide you the path, or you have a boot camp that give you the path to the roadmap of those your path that I want to follow. So those are people that can be able to do. But with more, the challenges, you not be able to say, okay, you have challenges, you don't want to now do it. No, you still need to look for a way to overcome these challenges because nobody starts on the clean slate. Everybody like on the clean smooth surface. Everybody started at the rough edge, and today everybody is trying to become the best of who they are. So I guess I will stop here so we can continue later. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, both of you, Mr. Alausa and Mr. Kadri George, for that. Thank you very much. So, if I'm to do a little bit summary of that, Mr. Alausa talked about, in short, what he talked about was excellence. You have to be very, very excellent at what you do before you can set yourself apart, because it's something that rewards very well, and for that reason, you're going to see a lot of people into it. Some people for the money, and some people for the passion and the will to build a career. And he said you're putting yourself in the wrong place. You're starting at the wrong place if you want to do it just for the money, because people who want to do it for the passion, who want to build a career, might just outperform you because they are much more committed to it. So what you need to do is to be very committed and to give it all your best. So get as much as you learn as much as you can, and to be honest too. Don't write things on your resumes that you cannot do. If you're writing something, be sure you can defend it, and also understand the language. Even though you know something, you need to be able to communicate it to people to position your value to them. And Mr. Kadri talked about some concrete issues, especially the cost of getting things, especially certifications in the cloud. One possible solution for that is organizations like this, the AWS Cloud Club, which provides some sort of financial aid or assistance to members in form of vouchers. So if you are a member of this AWS Cloud Club, you can get vouchers to
Mm, okay.
Sorry, while you are speaking, we cannot hear you.
Oh, okay. Sorry, can you tell me what was the last thing you heard?
Yeah.
I said, can you tell me what was the last thing you heard so I can just
About the
go
certification,
back to that?
the vouchers that you give to your member.
Okay, okay. So I say even though it's quite expensive to get some of these things like vouchers and credits, by being active participants of our community and many other community like this, you can stand chance to win vouchers to write your exams without costing you anything. You can stand chances to win credits to finance whatever project you're doing on the cloud without having to pay for it out of your pocket. So that's another thing we should make use of in our journey to break into the cloud and secure jobs. So did you hear that now?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. I'll go on to the next question, and I'd want Mr. Alausa to start with this. And it if for those of us who already have some skills and we want to secure jobs, most um, most possibly we want to build a career in the tech. What are the ways in which we can structure our certifications, our social media presence, the kind of project we engage in, the way we network with other people on the internet, all of these things that are more like things to do to get into the cloud? What are the things we can structure that? What advice do you have for us on these things in general?
Okay, thank you so much. So you already have the skill, or perhaps you're learning, maybe you're learning cloud, you're learning DevOps. One of the things that you must also understand or do is that there are different, areas also when it comes to cloud and when it comes to DevOps. For example, in DevOps, or let me start with the cloud. In cloud, there is cloud security. All right, you also have data engineers that are building on the cloud as well. And of course, you have the machine learning pathway. You have the system administration pathway, all right, in the cloud as well. So you must understand, the career that you want to focus on. Now, if you also want to go into DevOps, you must also realize that there are a number of tools to learn, right? And of course, there are different pathways also. But before you even get into DevOps, you must have mastered at least one cloud provider because at the end of the day, whatever DevOps tool that you're going to be using will still integrate into the cloud at the end of the day. Okay. Now, in terms of certifications are okay. They are good. But what I tell people is that before you delve into writing certifications, you must ensure that you have built your skills, all right, enough first. Because, for example, if you go to the AWS website and you want to take the associate, solution architect exam, it is written or stated on the AWS website that the person that wants to take that certification must have maybe about 1 or 2 years of experience, using AWS services. But a lot of people don't pay attention to that. They just go to Udemy, buy a course, prepare for 2, 3 months. Just go and write the exam. Now, what they have forgotten is that anybody can actually take all those multi-choice exams and pass it. That does not mean having a certification equals to you having the skill. And that is why you find out that a lot of people have the certifications, but they get all right to the interview and then they really cannot perform and they can't really speak to the things that they have said, that they know. Another thing that I would like to mention also is that one of the ways to put yourself out there is, recently I came across this on LinkedIn, which is the idea of learning in public, which means if you say that you know AWS, for example, you know how to use EC2, you know how to use VPC, why not start by contributing to a blog? Maybe you write a blog on Medium, on Hashnode, or maybe start a YouTube channel and start sharing your knowledge. That way, you can also prove to people that you not only have all of this certification or skill that you say you have on your LinkedIn, but this is a way to show that you actually know these things, right? And another thing, lastly, that I will talk about also is that if you're going into the any tech space at all, not cloud or dev, any tech space at all, you must also work on your ability to communicate your knowledge. Because in an interview, it is not much about what is written on the resume. It is about you being able to communicate what you know in a clear and understandable terms. Okay, you can have the professional certification, you can be a CCAD, certified, all of that. Those things count. But when you get to the interview, ultimately, your ability to communicate your knowledge in such a way that demonstrates that you actually know this thing is what really matters. Okay, so you must work on that communication aspect because in the interview section, even if you don't know anything and you are confident, right, and you can speak to some of these things, they won't even bother asking about a certification because, in my own experience, quite a number of the interviews that I have attended, whether locally or internationally, I don't think, right, 99% of them, they have never asked that, oh, are you certified in this area? No, it is just about what can you do? How is your knowledge able to help us solve our short-term goal, mid-term goal, and long-term goal? Okay, that is what I have to say now. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alausa. Mr. Kadiri, you have the floor next.
Okay, yes. As based on my what my speaker has said, my fellow speaker has said. So we coming to the cloud or going to DevOps, you just need to know what you want to do. So because that will give you leverage to say, okay, this is what I need to focus on. So you doing cloud, doing DevOps, there are some tools that you need to know, or some service that you need to know if you are using a cloud free tools. So like you using this AWS, you need to know some things if you are doing DevOps. So it depends on who what even the leverage they want to use. Some company use proprietary, while some company use open source for this their tools that they want to use to deploy because of the cost. So just to learn the tools. So and once you learn all these tools that you know, okay, let me know this thing, CI/CD, fetch my code kit and the likes. Okay, how can you tell somebody that you know these things if they want to hire you? How can you communicate these skills? So using social media like your LinkedIn is very most useful if you know how to use it. It's very versatile for you to secure a job. I saw some people reach out to me personally that, oh, you are looking for people to work with you, can you just share your resume with these people? Because they saw my profile, I've optimized my LinkedIn so that it tailors to what I'm doing. I've tailored it around what I'm doing. Everything is based on there, so they can just see my profile and say, oh, this guy has done this one, he has done this, he has posted this thing. Let's check it out if he can be able to assist us by working for us, you understand? So they can come out. In fact, you may not even apply for jobs too, they will just reach out to you willingly that, okay, once they see your profile and your profile is you match with what they are looking for, they will come for you. So that is why you need to know why you want to use your social media presence, especially LinkedIn, to make sure that, so if you learn anything today, maybe you learn about it too, you can just find it, write what you know about it, put it on there. If you learn anything about, okay, CICD, okay, which one you want to write, just write it. Whatever things you write, just you learn, I mean, just make sure you look for a way to publicize it to the audience that, okay, this is what you know, not about you having the certification or having the knowledge, but let the people know that you really know this thing. But are you writing, so I even believe that the more, even if you want to write an article now about whatever you learn now, you still need to read more and learn more about this. You will still learn more along the process. So these are something that will give you advantage. So and when you get to the interview process, or you are having an interview, so some jobs may require you to have some certification for you to apply, like minimum they can say you can have a, if you are going for DevOps or cloud, they can say you might have minimum of sysops, solution architect or sysops or developer associate. So that is the minimum requirement they must have, just for you to know that, okay, you have no, for because they believe for you to have the certification, if according to AWS you must have 1 or 2 years experience using those tools that is designated for that certificate. So those are why some of these company want you to have those certificates, so that they know that you have mastered some of these tools, you really know them. That's why you went IT for that. But some people will just go to do them in buy course or consider buy course, and then just do it after 3 months and they are fine. But what you really know is, okay, I learned this service on AWS or GCP or Azure. Then, okay, let me ask you a little about what I learned about it, like using it to post, sharing whatever you learn, read blog post, read anything that pertains to what you are learning or what you entitled to, what you are currently learning. So it will even give you more edge to learn more. Subscribe to a blog that they'll be giving updates about the technology trend that you are going to. So those are things, okay, this is where I was doing before. You can do it this way, you can do it this way. So you even improve yourself. So all those things will help you in securing the job. So it's not about the certificates like my previous speaker said. It's not about the certificates, it's about what you really know and how can you publicize and communicate whatever you know to the audience, which is these are the people that want to employ you. How can you communicate, define well structure of what you've learned or what you know to them, that they can say, "Oh, they are confused enough to say they want to hire you." So those are how I will answer my own question. So thank you very much.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Kadri. I believe the strong point that is made here is that we should try as much as possible to learn in public, because it's a very big world and a lot of things are happening all around. So you have to put yourself on the radar for people to see. If you're learning anything that has to do with the cloud, don't just learn by yourself alone and expect people to locate you with some magic or something. You have to let people know what you're doing. So when you are trying to do a project, try to share it on your social media platforms. If you can write on blogs, try to write on blogs, try to connect with people and make whatever thing you're doing visible, so that people can actually know you are into something, and when opportunities come they can actually ask you. And another very important thing that makes this to be very useful is that it pushes you to want to do more, because when you know you have to share what you're doing in public, you wouldn't want to go a very long period of time without doing anything. So even when you are not doing something for an employer, you're doing it because you want to put something out there for people to see. what you're doing, and that motivates you to want to do more. Okay, you want to write about a blog post, but you know you have to complete a project first before you can get the knowledge for the blog post. That pushes you to do the project. That pushes you to learn more, and that just cascades into more and more knowledge and more skills. And Mr. Alausa mentioned that you should try to share whatever thing you know. He is actually an embodiment of that because he has a YouTube channel where he shares his knowledge about DevOps, and a lot of subscribers there. We are going to share the link to his YouTube channel so anyone interested can also subscribe to his channel and learn from his immense amount of knowledge. I'll go on to our next question. But in the meantime, I should mention that for our listeners, if you have any question you want to ask our speakers, please note them down in the comment section. I'm going to take the questions afterwards, and we have your specific questions to our speakers, and they are going to address that. Okay. So the next question I want to ask is this: um, what are the mistakes that our speakers have seen entry level candidates make when they are trying to apply for jobs? So it's very possible, and in fact maybe quite common for people not to actually realize they're making a mistake when they're applying for jobs. And you being the sort of person that has seen a lot of people being employed, who has gotten jobs yourself, and who possibly might have gotten a couple of denials also when you applied, you could be able to reflect and think what are the things that you've done right, and what are the things that you possibly have done wrong, or you've seen some other people do wrong. So what are the mistakes that entry level um, applicants should try to avoid when they're applying to jobs? Mr. Oluwaseun, can you go first on that?
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. I would like to start with the resume, right? The resume with which you're using to apply, because your resume is just more like a summary of your whole experience, your educational, background, your experience, and all of that. Now, by God's grace, I've come across a lot of resume, and sometimes when I see some resume, I just laugh because, and I really don't blame people, and because sometimes it is, who your mentor is, or perhaps maybe the boot camp, or maybe somebody you've gone to and they've told you, or your resume was packed with this, you have to put a lot of things here. You tell them you can do Python, you tell them you can do Java, you can do all of this, and meanwhile you really don't know, most of these things, but you just feel when you pack your resume with a lot of, all of these skills, perhaps that would, grant you an audience with a recruiter or things like that. But that is one mistake that I've seen a lot of people make. Okay. Now, I try to tell people that when you're applying for a job, be as honest as you can on your resume. If you know you don't understand Python, you don't have any business putting that on your resume. If you know that the only CI/CD platform you have worked with is Jenkins, be comfortable putting Jenkins on your resume. Now, why do I say this? Now, in my own experience, I mean, I've, by God's grace, attended quite a number of interviews, right? And one thing I can tell you is that nobody can predict where a question will come from or the kind of question you can get asked at an interview. You can't predict it. Okay. So if you have your resume packed with a lot of skills and then you get there, of course, the first thing they will ask you is, oh, can you introduce yourself to us? And after that introduction, I mean, they start looking at your CV, they start asking you questions. Oh, here in this company, you said you did this, you did this, you did, and then they want you to explain to them, what you've done. Now, you have been asked to explain to us, for example, let me give you a practical example. On your CV, you stated it there on your CV that you used Terraform to optimize deployment to the cloud, and that has reduced the cost of your organization by, let's say, 30% and things like that. And then they ask you, oh, that's an interesting one. Can you explain to us how you were able to use automation to reduce the cost that your organization is spending, on cloud and all of that? And then you can't defend that. You can't export. You have it on your CV, right? And you can't speak to it, or you are saying, well, and that alone is a red flag. So I tell people your resume should be something that you can present and something you can defend even when they wake you up from the sleep. Okay, so don't pack your resume with a lot of things just to impress a potential employer. No, because let's even assume that you were lucky to get the job. I mean, let's assume that you scaled through the whole interview and then you got on the job. What you need to understand is that the true test of your skill will start day one on that job. I mean, recently I was speaking to a lady in the US. She attended a training program. The guy told them, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to teach you this and that, and then you'll be able to land a job at the end of the day. Of course, she landed that job, but she said it herself that the first week on that job, in fact, it was an embarrassment because they told her to do certain things and she was not able to perform, and they sacked her immediately. And she said, in fact, she said that was like the worst moment of her life. So you can have an impressive resume, but make sure that as impressive that that resume is, you are also able to make a lasting impression on the person that you're talking to. All right. Because at the end of the day, even if you're able to get a job by miracle, you cannot stay on that job by miracle. So make sure that your resume is tailored to what you know, what you can express, what you can speak to, and so that when you get on the job, you are able to also perform accordingly and not embarrass yourself at the end of the day. So I will stop there.
Okay, so it seems Mr. Lausa has given us his take on that. Can
Okay. So my own is maybe you are applying for. So as my speaker has said, my first speaker has said, like your resume should speak a lot about what you know, what you can do. So, but there are some people too that will apply for a job without having full understanding of the role they are applying for. You cannot just apply for them engineer. You don't know some of these basic things that you need to do. You don't have any lab experience, and just because you saw the benefits and the likes, you say, oh, let me to apply. You don't just apply for jobs that you don't have full understanding of the role you're applying for. That is number one key mistake that people have. You must be able to understand the role that you're applying for, know them very well. So some people too, we have some people who say, okay, you have certification of this. You just say you have certification. Can you practice? Can you give us what your certification you did? You said you have. Can you like defend those certification when they ask question like, okay, you said you have certification on this thing. What have you done with this thing? What have you done? Which project have you do? So those are what you need to just know. Make sure you have full understanding of the role that you're applying for. So some people are neglecting soft skills, communication skills, and the likes on their own CV too. You know, you having the role and everything, you know, understanding it, but your communication skills, how can you let the interviewer knows that you know this thing, your precise communication to them, they can be able to deduce your own form of communication that they can understand, okay, you really understand this thing. So you need to have all those communication skills. So and you need to be like, okay, you are comfortable doing this role for them, you have some experience, you share your knowledge of how your previous what you have done to, like, okay, I've done this to help my company do this, I've done this to help my company do this, I've do this thing by doing this. So those are what you need to leverage to, so that you can even be able to, okay, this is what I've done and this is what I've used up to. So maybe some people to have, you have this you don't have evidence to show that you have of your skills that you know. Okay, maybe you are saying you have this you have a skills in maybe automation. What are the evidence that can show that you have this automation skills? What are the evidence that can prove to us that you have these skills that you said you have? So these are people who are failing to provide evidence of their skills. Just try to provide the evidence of your skill in your resume. Try as little as you can. Okay, I have this certification to back it up in case some people. So you know, most of these are most of the company, the recruiters now, or any employer, they usually scan your CV with their own ATS. So there are some keywords that you need to have on that your on the that from your own from the job description that they give you, that they have for the role. So there are some keywords there that they need required to have to see on your CV. If those keywords are not on your own CV, they will not even call you for anything. You can even pass the coming for the interview. You can even pass the stage to go to the interview stage because those keywords are not there. So try to, and you shouldn't have a one resume for a whole job. Don't have one resume for one for the use one resume to be applying for a job or one cover letter to be applying for jobs. No, you have different cover letters, different resume for different jobs because these jobs have different job description that the recruiters need from you. So if you don't have fit those keywords, those points on your own resume, they won't bother to call you because you did not pass with their own first level applications, your first level entry, you did not pass it. So those are what you need to do. So you have multiple CVs for multiple roles that you're applying for, because each role will have a specific keyword, a specific role that you're applying for, will have something that is unique from the other one. So because those are what your recruiters need for them to be able to call you. If you don't have those keywords on your resume and your cover letter, don't let it generic. You just copy something from online, you just paste it and give it to them. Let it be suited to what you are applying for, so that those one they can be able to consider you in the future. So those are the mistakes that most mid-level or entry-level have with their those with them business. So just try to make sure you have all these things to attach to your CV, and make sure you have all those things, and I'm sure it will work for us. And make sure we put the dedication to all these things that we just said. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, our speakers. That's a very, very, very insightful one. Yeah, and what has been said is focused mainly on our resume and honesty. So there is no one perfect size fit all for resume. You shouldn't have just one resume that you tender everywhere. Try to customize each resume to each particular job you're applying to. It shows some commitment and initiative on the part of the applicant too, and the people receiving it would know, yes, you've taken some time to actually draft a resume to apply to that job. Not that you have just one resume that you have everywhere. That's a very good one. We should all try to emulate, and also try to be honest. That's what Mr. Kadiri Mr. Oluwashim has advised us on. Try to be honest on your resume, and don't put skills you don't know of, because it's even less likely that the employer will see it. And even if it does, then well on the job. And that being said, it's important to also have the confidence to say, I don't know this, but it's something I can learn very quickly. But you have to be upfront and let your employers know you don't know what it is they're asking you, but if they would give you the job, you can learn it in as quickly as possible. Okay, so I have just one more question to ask, and I'd like listeners to keep their questions coming. I already have some questions to ask our panelists after this, but for my own set of questions, my last question will be this: is there a way for people in the cloud, people that have cloud skills, is there a way to monetize their skills without actually having to be employed by an employer? So we know of some certain skills that are quite very easily monetizable by individuals doing their things without having to wait for paycheck. Is there a way people that have relevant cloud skills, maybe they are backend engineers that can develop on the cloud, or they are solution architects, or they are DevOps engineers. Is there a way that one with good enough skills can monetize his or her skill without having to depend on an employer? Can you go first, Mr. Oluwashim?
All right. So, if you want to monetize your skills, I mean, in this day and age of, social media, different, content creation and the rest of them, there are actually quite a number of ways to do that. And of course, the one of the popular ways is to have a YouTube channel. All right. And one thing you must also know is that when you want to monetize your skill, it will also require a lot of effort, because at the end of the day, you want to put out content that people would want to leave whatever it is they are doing and they want to watch. All right. Because when you are posting an intellectual content, it doesn't get as much attraction as an entertainment content. And then, but if you do, you must make sure that it's something that people can get value from. So that's the first thing you have to ask yourself. And when we talk about value, of course, you know that that's going to take a lot of time, because, I mean, I'm working on a series currently, which is on Docker presently. And I can tell you, I mean, because you want to put out something there that people can learn from, it's not just something you can just do wishy washy and all of that. I mean, you will not get the right audience that way. Okay, and to get money from that would even be a problem in the first instance, right? So that is one thing you must take note of. I mean, put out quality content. And another thing also is, along the way, by the time you're putting out this quality content, you can also have people reach out to you to say, oh, my organization wants to do something like this. Can you please, help us with this? I mean, you can find people that will come to you and say, oh, I was looking at, I was just researching online and I came across your profile. Can you, help us with this? I mean, I can give you two examples. I have about two people who reached out to me on LinkedIn, say, oh, they want the training, they came across my profile, this and that. and we were able to do a one-on-one training. Of course, that resulted into them paying, money and all of that. And I've seen quite a number of people like that will reach out and say, "Oh, we saw what you're doing on this platform. We want to do this. We want to do that." And in that regard, they come in and we're able to assist them. But of course, if you are not putting out something of value out there, you may not get all those kind of attractions and all those kind of referrals. So when you're putting out content, whether you're writing a blog post, whether you're doing a YouTube, video and all of that, you must make sure that what you're putting out is something that people, all right, that deserves their attention, that can command their attention at the end of the day. Okay, so that is one of the ways you can monetize. And of course, there are other platforms. There's Fiverr. There's I mean, quite a number of them like that. I can register on and offer your services as a freelance person. Okay, so but of course, like I said, there are a number of ways to do, and of course, you can also offer training as well. So you can train people. People can have a course like in January now I'll be starting a course on DevOps and DevSecOps. So that's also another way to earn money. But of course, before you can earn money through all of this, you must have proven that you are somebody that people can get value from. And then after you've offered that value for a while, of course, at the end of the day, you start getting, all those referrals and things like that. So thank you.
Okay, I'll be the next Abby. So yes, Mr. Noashima has
Dr.
said it
Oliver.
all. So he has said it all. So for you to want to monetize your skills, you must know something that people are willing to pay for. So you need to know. So you can't just come to no. This is not entertainment. Entertainment you can just do anyhow. You get money anyhow. People will be able to just by streaming there and there. But this is not. This is different. This is a an intellectual content they are putting out. So as you said, you can do it, YouTube channel, have a YouTube channel, be a freelancer, going to all those Fiverr, Upwork and get a account so that I can do a freelancing job for them. Having a it's like in fact somebody to reach out to me that please they need my assistance for a they want me to help them to I want to tutor some of them for but because of my time schedule at my work I told them if they can schedule that time for me to teach them and they said they will get back to me. So these are what people do. So if you are whatever you are putting out as a content should be something intellectual that people can be able to pay for. So that's how you can monetize it. So you need to put something that is intellectual for them that they know that they will see value for it. So if you are not getting any value from anything, there's no way you want to pay for it. But you have value for something, you have value for something, you'll be able to say, well, you see value for something, you want to pay, no matter how much the money is, because you know that oh, this is it. And be like you said, so be creating all these blogs, YouTube posts, be having a boot camp, all those things can leverage be a freelancer to can you can leverage all those things without being employable like having to be under any employer to say you want to earn money. So if you have those skills, you know how to you know them very well and there's a way you can in fact to present them for the public for consumption because there's another way for you to communicate to public for consumption that can be able to willing and able to pay for it. So those are the things that I would say you should just consider. So that is just all. So just have a blog, have a YouTube channel, be a freelancer. Those are and be a tutor. Those are the key areas that you can be able to leverage to earn money for with your skills without being under any employer. So that's all for me.
Okay, thank you very much. So there you have it, guys. While some of us are still waiting for that first job, we can take the path of exploring freelancing platforms to get some gigs at different points in time and make some money off it. And we can also share our knowledge as well as we are very confident that we have very good content, educational content to share. We can also share our knowledge on various platforms, and some people might pay us for it. So that will be all the questions I have. And thank you very much to our listeners for listening so far up to this point. Thank you very, very much for our speakers for sharing your informative and very, very entertaining experience and insights with us. We very much appreciate it. So, what I'll do next is take questions from the comment section on YouTube. So, the first question that I would like to ask is from Akim. And his question, both of our speakers can give us their take on this, is that what certification is advisable for someone who is a backend developer and who want to get into a DevOps engineer's role? And so he gave us some context to his question. He said it's because for his company as a backend engineer, he's saddled with the responsibility to develop, to deploy to the cloud. So some of the apps he's building, he also has to deploy them to the cloud, and he also has to provide advice on the best services to use. And this happened to fall into the role of a solution architect and to an extent a DevOps engineer. So, what certification is advisable for such a person? Any one of you can answer first.
Okay. Okay, let me go first. So if you are asking for certification, so the basic one that you can be able to do to that can show you whatever you want to leverage on the cloud is maybe solution architect. Solution architect is just the basics that will give you how to deploy. You can use Docker containerization, EKS, ECS, or even Elastic Beanstalk to do your deployment. Depends on how you want to implement the architecture of your deployment. So these are just a basic certificate that you need to have if you need a certificate. But no, mostly as we said earlier, it's not about certificates. But since you said what certification, but those one will give you the leverage on how to just do some of these things on cloud without having to go extra mile to do all these things. Yes. So with those certifications, that certificate you can leverage as a solution architect and developer associate. Developer associate will give you in terms of you want to be a DevOps engineer, while solution architect will give you in terms of you want to be a solution architect person. So the deployment is varies. So it depends on use cases that I want to do. But me, I would just say either one of the two is good for you as a backend engineer that wants to be deploying on the cloud with if you are using AWS, yeah. But it depends on me. What I'm saying on this system because I mostly use AWS, so that's why I can easily say okay AWS. But some people use Azure or GCP, so I don't really know about their own certification because I don't use them. So this is why I'm saying that okay with a developer associate or associates and associate architects, you can be able to jump into those deployments and having those certificates can help you with whatever you need to do on the cloud to get started and be doing it very well. That's just from my own side.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. George. That's very fair of you. After all, we are AWS Cloud Club, so it's very fair if we talk about AWS services. So, you can go next, Mr. Oluwaseun.
All right, thank you so much. So I'll just take it from where Mr. Kadri stopped. So the question basically is the person is working as a backend engineer and you're working for a startup, right? I guess that's the question.
Yes, that's the question.
Okay, all right. So now, of course, if you are working in such a space, there are quite a number of certifications that you can take. All right. And it is, I always advise people, for me, fundamentals is very key. You have to make sure that your fundamentals is very solid. Okay. So if you're a backend developer, what stack? Are you a full stack developer? Are you just a front end person? Are you a backend engineer? So in your own case, if you're a backend engineer, of course, maybe you are working with Python or PHP or whatever. All right. And there are a number of certifications you can take in that regard. Now, it also depends on your responsibility. And as you have stated here, your responsibility is to deploy apps to the cloud, which means you must also have the knowledge of not just writing the application, you must also be able to deploy the app on it. So that means you must be someone who can provision infrastructure in the cloud. And like Mr. Kadri rightly said, I mean, if you take the solution architect associate, the solution architect associate gives you more like an understanding of a number of AWS services. It's just more like a general kind of certification that opens you up to different services on AWS. Now, and what that would do for you basically is it gives you that privilege to be able to, set up infrastructure. How do you set up your EC2 instances? What is the role of security group? Where do you need to have maybe a NAT gateway, for example? Do you want to expose your instances to the public or do you want them to remain private and things like that? So taking a solution architect associate will give you that basic, understanding. Now, depending on your role and depending on the kind of hunger that you have for learning, you can also take it further to go and do your developer associate. Developer associate is streamlined towards you leveraging, CI/CD tools on AWS. So on AWS, you have the code deploy, the code pipeline, the code artifact, and things like that that you can actually use to deploy, to different environments. For example, if you want to automate your deployment to an EC2 on AWS, you can actually leverage AWS Code Deploy for that. If you're deploying to Elastic Beanstalk, for example, let's say you want to do serverless, you don't want to manage EC2 instances, and you want to just, maybe you just use a platform as a service offering, for example. All right, you can go ahead and deploy to Elastic Beanstalk. So that way, you're not going to worry about the EC2 instances, all right, behind, running your work. You just have to focus on deploying your code. Okay, so for that, you can also leverage tools like Code Pipeline. So with Code Pipeline, you can deploy directly, all right, to Elastic Beanstalk. So depending on the project you have at hand, depending on the use cases, AWS has different certifications that can help you to, streamline your experience and what you hope to achieve as a career at the end of the day. So solution architect, like I said in summary, gives you more like, a general approach, all right, to AWS, because if you're doing solution architect associate, you touch on machine learning, you talk on, security, you talk on, EC2, you talk on networking. I mean, you touch on all these other aspects, but then developers say that one is basically streamlined towards the CI/CD part, and then you have other parts as well that might be of interest to you. So that's my submission on that.
Okay. Thank you very much to our speakers for their answer to that question, and thank you very much to the person who asked the question, Mr. Hakim. It's actually a very very good question, and a lot of real listeners will actually benefit from it. I for one, am one of the beneficiaries of the answer to that question. I like the question very much, and I hope from the answers that has been given, you would be able to make your decision as to which certification is best for you to take. Okay, so I have another question here, which is that what types of projects can you do as a DevOps engineer that would give you an edge during interview? And the person who asked the question also said he would appreciate if you can get links to some of these projects. So as speakers, you have the thought on this. Can any one of
Yeah.
you can go first, of course.
I think Mr. Kadri can go first. So I've been going first, so let him.
Oh, okay. Can you guys hear me? Because I guess the speaker voice and the moderator voice is
Yes,
breaking. I
yes,
don't know if you
yes.
can
I
hear me.
can hear you. I can hear you. I hope
Okay.
other listeners
So,
can.
what types of project can you do as a DevOps engineer that would give an edge? Okay. So, the project depends on what you are doing. So, the as a DevOps engineer, so that one is a CI. You must know, you must leverage CI/CD as a DevOps engineer. That is what you need to know. So, some people will say, it depends on if you want to be open source or you want to do a proprietary. So for open source, you can use Jenkins and the likes to traverse CI for your own. But for AWS, there's code pipeline that you can leverage to do as a DevOps engineer. So you must make sure that okay, you are picking a code from a repository. That's your source. You are building it. So by using code build or maybe Jenkins, anything you want to use to build it, you containerize the project as well. You understand me? So once you containerize the project, it will be easier for you to deploy in any way. So there will not be a dependency issue for you that, oh, it's working on my laptop, it's not working here, it's not working. So Docker will give you an advantage to give you all the necessary requirement for the application to run. Then you deploy it to EC2, ECS, Fargate or whatever or EKS. So those are but most of the project is just based on how to use those things together because those are what makes DevOps. And the security part as well too, how to make sure that you stand your application for vulnerability and the like. So let me just say there are three web application deployments so that you leverage your source code. That is where the code is. You are going to build it as well. By building it, you need to containerize the deployment, your code, containerize it for you to ship it. So deploying, code deploy, you can use AWS code deploy too. So okay, let me just tonight to AWS now. So like AWS now, you have AWS code this thing that you can use to have your source S3 or anywhere that you can pick or you can even leverage this is GitHub or Bitbucket to for you to put your source code so that you can then you can use AWS code build as well to use to build it. You can even use AWS code build to have your integrated testing tool on it, so you can test your code. Is it okay? All these your phone, your quality assurance testing on it too. Then okay, want to deploy it to maybe serverless like Lambda, API gateway or anything, any serverless application that you feel like, or you may want to say, okay, ECS, Elastic Container Service that is doing by AWS. You can use that one to. So your project should be something that you will be able to use some of these CI/CD tools. You understand? So that is what I would just say, because I don't have any project link that I can share for you now, but I will see if I can see some of these projects that I was working on before, if they have. And you can even use and again to use infrastructure as code very much to your project too. Like you don't manually provision all this thing yourself. Look for projects that you have infrastructure as code, maybe Terraform, CloudFormation, or AWS CDK to use to deploy those applications that will be easier for you, so that you can be able to say, okay, Terraform destroy to destroy whatever resources you provision. So those are the projects that you need to do. I don't have a template that I can give you for now, but I believe you'll be able to understand what I'm saying, sir. So you learn to leverage some of this CI/CD for your project. That is number one. Then leverage like infrastructure as a code for your project too. Like as I said, Terraform, and you can even use Ansible too for your deployments and the likes. Use CloudFormation if you are using AWS, or you can use CDK. If you know AWS CDK, AWS CDK is that development kit that you can use to deploy this thing. So it may be easier for you to provision those resources yourself. And those are things that will give you edge if you have some of these projects in it. But I don't have, so these are things. So like there was an interview that I went to, they said, okay, which they asked me AWS I on my CV about how do I implement my CI/CD then. So I told them that this is how I implement my CI/CD. So since you are DevOps engineer, what the recruiters need from you is your CI/CD, and how secure is your deployment tool. How can you incorporate your security on this your CI/CD? So those are what the recruiters usually need. Okay, your once you build the application, you scan it for any vulnerability. If you see any vulnerability, the developer tool, you scan the code too from the developer. So the developer tool go say, "Ah, you have some vulnerability, you are exposing key." So those are things that you need to leverage for your projects on DevOps as a DevOps engineer. So that will be able to give you an edge for this thing. But I don't have a particular format to say for the project. But I believe you have learned something that from what I said earlier. So thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. So I would just want to add to what my co-speaker has said. Now, one thing I want to point our attention to here is, you don't do projects randomly, right? And for me, I believe that knowledge is progressive. Okay, you can't just wake up one day and then become a DevOps engineer or become a cloud engineer. There has to be a starting point. Now, having said that, you have to first ask yourself, what do I know? What level am I at this point? So, what are the things that I know? What are the things I can do? Because when you talk about the cloud and the DevOps space, there are a number of tools. I mean, a lot of them. And it is not possible for you to master every tool. It's just not possible. Okay. Now, if you say you want to become a DevOps engineer, that is the career path that you have chosen. Now, there are fundamentals that you need to get first. For example, how good is your knowledge of Git? How well do you understand Linux? And how well can you use Linux? Okay? Because if you don't have all of these fundamentals, if your fundamentals are not solid, just picking up random project at the end of the day will cause, a lot of problem. Another thing that I would advise, okay, you can go on my YouTube channel. I just released a 3T architecture project. You can, do that and practice with that. I have a whole series on GitLab CI/CD, a couple of them on the site there, okay? But then what I just want to advise is that, number one, when you're doing any project, don't just do copy and paste, okay? Which means You see a project on somebody's YouTube page, and then you're just copying and then doing exactly what a person is doing. The question you need to ask yourself is this infrastructure, if I'm asked to explain this infrastructure that this person, or this architecture rather, that this person is building with, can I explain this architecture? That is the first thing you need to ask yourself. Because every project that you deploy in a real world environment, there is an architecture, all right, that they have developed or designed that they are actually following. Okay. So you must ask yourself, if you see a project on any platform on YouTube, right? Ask yourself, this architecture that I've seen, can I explain this? If I go for an interview and they ask me, this is the architecture that we are working on for the project we want to do, can you just walk us through this architecture? You must be able to do that, because it is not enough for you to have a lot of folders or project or repositories on your GitHub, but it is very important that you are able to explain the project. Not just, oh, somebody deployed a project on YouTube today, you just go to your own AWS environment and you just go ahead and deploy the same thing, and you really do not have a concrete understanding of why the person has decided to use the services that they used. Okay? For example, let me give you an example. There was an interview that I attended in the UK some time ago, I think in 2022, 23, thereabout. So they gave me an architecture and they asked me, so we're trying to, use two different regions. So there's a region here, there's another region here, and we're trying to see if we could use, VPC peering to connect the two VPCs together and all of that. And they asked me what I thought about VPC peering. Now I told them, I looked at the architecture and I told them, well, you're trying to build something good, but I won't go with VPC peering, and I give them the reason why. Now, VPC peering, number one, is not scalable, because when you're doing VPC peering, it is basically just this VPC and this VPC. So there's nothing like a transitive peering, which means VPC B cannot talk to VPC C if they are not connected together. And I told them I would rather go with a transit gateway, because with transit gateway, you are able to connect different VPCs from different regions together, and your transit gateway can also scale. So I gave them my reasons why I would use this service over this other service. And guess what? Of course, the offer came, right? So it is not enough to just do project. It is more important that you understand that project inside and outside, because you never know. You get to an interview and you look at your resume. You told them, oh, I've done this, I've done that project, and they just speak on any of them randomly and say, oh, we saw on your resume that you said you've done this project. Can you walk us through what you did? I mean, can you walk us through the architecture? And then you just go off. I mean, that's not a good way to present yourself. So whatever project that you're doing, make sure you understand why this service is used. Why are we using this architecture? Why can't we use this architecture? All right. Why are we using two security group? Why can't we use one security group? Why are we trying to use a NAT gateway? Why can't we just use internet gateway for everything? So that way, if you find yourself in an interview tomorrow, you are able to clearly explain yourself why this service is important, why you will not go with these things and all of that. So that way you put yourself in a better position. Okay. So just to summarize, if you find any project on YouTube that you want to do, first of all, understand the idea, all right, behind that project, be able to speak to the architecture, be able to communicate that architecture to anybody, all right, before you go ahead and just duplicate the project. So that way you are putting yourself in a better position to get hired, okay, than just doing, copy and paste. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much to both of our speakers for that. It's a very important part of securing jobs, the projects you do. And in fact, we recognize the importance so much that our last event was focused majorly on that. So for the person that asked the question, or for any other person interested in what kind of project to do, we actually have an event which is dedicated to speaking about that. So you can check our YouTube channel. Our last event was about how you can structure your project holistically in such a way that the subsequent projects build on past ones, and you can learn a lot from them as you progress, and you can use projects to actually make your knowledge more concrete. So um, do well to check that video on YouTube. Yeah. Okay. So there are about two questions left. I think our speakers will take them one for each person, so we can save our time. And one person asked the question directly to Mr. George. I think he was asking about the resume that Mr. George was talking about. So he said What? How do you know the kind of things that employers will want on their resume so you can put it there? So, in his words, is there a way I can know the key points a company needs when applying for a job so he can use that to structure his resume?
So as
Mr.
I
George, can
said,
you help us on that?
yes, yes. As I said before, so the key points that you can use is always in your job description. So you see them in your job description. You are looking for some so. The person must be able to do so. Work with Kubernetes, Jenkins, CI/CD, all those things. So those are the key points there. If from the job description, GD, that you know that these are the key points that needs to be on CV. So there's no magic there. It's just the job description of that particular job, the role you're applying for. You see what those key points that needs to be on your CV in case you're applying for that job. So those are where you get it from the JD, from job description. That's where you see it.
Okay, I believe that answers the question. If you want to apply to a job, try to read the job description first, and that gives you an idea of what will be required of you, and that should help you to structure your CV. Our last but not the least question for today, I would like Mr. Alausa to take that. So the question goes to us. For someone learning cloud computing, is it compulsory to have knowledge in DevOps too, or can one strictly major as cloud engineer without DevOps knowledge? Um,
Mm.
I would like our speaker to take that for us, please.
All right.
So
So,
cloud and DevOps are quite very intertwined. So the person wants to know how intertwined they are and what can one do without doing the other.
all right. Now, when you talk about cloud computing, you are talking about, instead of you provisioning your infrastructure and running your workloads on prem, you can leverage, the infrastructure that the cloud provider actually has provided. So, depending on the cloud platform you want to go with, so let's say you want to go with AWS, for example, right? I mean, you need to understand starting services, how infrastructure are provisioned. You want to understand platform as a service and things like that. Now, when you talk about DevOps, you are basically talking about a methodology that can help you to streamline your software development. All right. That's what DevOps is about. But then when you're streamlining your software development, that software is still going to be deployed on a cloud platform, right? At the end of the day. So you will discover that sometimes when you look at some JDs, maybe you go to LinkedIn and then they say they are looking for a cloud engineer. By the time you look at the job description, they will mention things like the person must be able to do Terraform. The person must be able to understand maybe Ansible. And sometimes they say, oh, Kubernetes knowledge is also preferred. So at the end of the day, you will realize that these things are actually related. Okay. Now, while there are different pathways, I mean, somebody can say, well, I just want to focus on cloud security. That is good. But at the end of the day, you are securing something. You are not only going to be securing the infrastructure, which is the EC2 instances, you are also securing the applications that are running on those instances at the end of the day. So whether you want to do DevOps or not, that knowledge is also critical. You need to also have that understanding of how applications are deployed, all right, in the cloud environment. Okay. And of course, if you want to go into DevOps, the starting point is always cloud. You need to understand the cloud platform. You need to know how you create an instance, how you deploy an application on it, and all of that. But at the end of the day, you can't run away completely, all right, from DevOps. It's just like some people will ask you, oh, I want to do cloud. Somebody has told me, I don't need to have knowledge about programming and things like that. And I tell them, yes, you don't have to be a programmer to be a DevOps engineer, but you need to have an understanding of programming in terms of writing scripts that you can use to automate tasks in the DevOps space. Okay, so at the end of the day, you cannot separate DevOps from cloud because the application that is running on cloud is going to be, I mean, it's deployed somehow. And for most organizations these days, nobody is doing manual deployment. Everybody is leveraging one DevOps tool or the other. So it's either somebody is using, Jenkins or GitLab says it or GitHub Action. At the end of the day, your application has to be deployed in the cloud environment in some way. So that, I mean, with that alone, there's no way you want to run away completely, all right, from DevOps. Okay. So you still have to have that knowledge at the end of the day. So that's my submission in that.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Alausa. I hope that answers the question of the person who asked the question. That'll be our last question for today. And thank you very much to both of our speakers for joining us for today's event. We sincerely appreciate your time, your efforts, your contribution, your knowledge and experience that you shared with us. A big gratitude to all of our listeners for joining in to today's event. We very much appreciate your time also. And we
Why is
hope
it not
you
sniping?
have one or two things that you have learned from today's event. So there have been a couple of questions asked on the YouTube section, comment section. Some people have asked for the link to the YouTube channel of Mr. Alausa. We've shared that. And we also shared the link to our WhatsApp group. For anyone that is not already a member, we'd advise you try and join, and you have a lot of things to learn. And you can always have subsequent questions asked there if you're going to get answers to it. So, for the last time, I'm going to be sharing the link to our WhatsApp group. Let's all do well to use the link to join before we close the event for today. Thank you very much, our speakers and our listeners. We very much appreciate it. That will be all from me. We move on to the next section with the next speaker. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the night.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. And a lot of our speakers, too, if you permit me, a lot of our listeners have expressed their gratitude. They asked us to thank you for taking the time out to come here. And some of them had sent you connect requests on LinkedIn, and they look forward to you accepting them. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. All right.
Okay, thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you very much once again. Thank you very much, Mr. Kadri. Thank you very much, Mr. Sheon, for that insightful section. So quickly, without more further ado, we'll quickly move on to the next section, which is more or less the announcements. So the person of Ola will be taking that quickly before we move on to our quiz and putting that out to wrap. Thank you. Ola, you have the floor now.
All right, so I hope we've been enjoying our time. It's actually a wonderful event. Even me have to just sit, I've been jotting here and there just to make sure I secure this my first job and all that. But come on, it's actually been an insightful one. So we would like to make some kind of announcements and inform our community members that we will be having our what's it called physical meeting, like kind of a physical event coming up next month, either first week or second week, but that will be communicated via the group platform. Then another is like we urge you guys, please, participation and engagement in the weekly activities that will be going on in the group. Please and please, come on. It's just kind of let's share ideas, get to know a lot of things about cloud computing and the rest that will kind of be a very good one and very useful to everyone. Then for the certification voucher that we made mention, I think that should be in our last event. So like there will be a kind of a program that will be coming up that will also be communicated, but this kind of the hands-on or what's it called for you guys to know that there is kind of a certification voucher program that will be coming up whereby the winner will be given what's it called a free voucher to. I mean, we've been talking about certification here, developers, this cloud solution architect, this and that. So come on. So just wait on and let's see how the program once it's been stated on how we start and the start date rather. So this is just our next one. We'll get to share that on the group as well too. Then for our winners, okay, so Onyedika Samson and Muhyiddin Morenigbade, oh, these are two winners for the post engagement. So the what's it called? You'll be reached out to from one of the members and how you get your what's it called your gifts and every other thing. So thank you everyone. Thank you for joining in. Like I hope everyone has something to go home with, at least one or two ideas of shaping resume, trying to submit one or two applications and all that. I mean, so thank you everyone. Thank you everyone for joining in.
All right. Thank you very much once again. Thank you for those announcements. So for our winners, for those engaged our posts, one on LinkedIn or on Twitter. I think my last colleague has actually mentioned the winner. So reaching out to you guys. Please reach out to any of the admin on the community group chat, and we'll take it up from there for your rewards. All right, thank you. So quickly, we'll move into the quiz. So it's just more or less to test. So just test our knowledge on and our attentiveness on the session we just had. So this should not really take time. Under the next 5-10 minutes should be done. So we'll be going into that real quick. So I'll be sharing my screen for us to join and participate in the quiz. And there's a reward as well. So might just be the next person to go with another reward. Thank you. So the joining link is coming up on the screen for us to join. Okay. All right. So that's the joining link. 29164660. So go to metimeter.com and make use of this particular code to participate in the quiz. So we'll be giving the next 30 seconds to 1 minute for people to join in. So we start. So join in with meti.com and make use of that code 29164600. So that will be posted as well on the group chats. I mean on the chat on this chat currently, so we could actually join in as well. So I'm waiting for people to join so we can get started. Okay, we're still waiting for more people to join so we can begin properly.
Emmanuel, I can see people asking for the link in the comment section.
Please, you can help post that on the comment section. That should be menti.com. And yeah, this is the code as well. I'm currently sharing my screen, so I might not really be able to do that.
Okay, so you just need to go to menti.com.
Okay, I just shared the link as well. So let's get to join.
So we just need to go to menti.com and use the code at the top of the screen here to join. 29164600. That directs us straight away to this section.
All right, so we'll be starting in the next 10 seconds. So for as many people that has not joined, you just have 10 seconds. Okay. So I guess we'll get started then. All right. So the first question coming up. Oh, wow. I guess some people are not listening. So, I mean, the speaker emphatically mentioned that we need to be passionate about whatever skill set or whatever career tech we're actually looking into. And yeah, passion is actually the answer. So for as many that choose problem solving is not what we spoke about today. So we'll move on to the next question. Okay, so for the leadership board, here you have it. So Barefoot Contessa is currently leading the board. So good to move on to the next question ASAP. So question 2. All right, we begin. Another key component mentioned by the speaker to remain competitive and stay relevant is engage public speaking, speakers to get advice, do few projects, just do whatever you like and think, share knowledge about what you do. Okay, that's the winner. Okay, I think people are listening on this one. So we have about 5 people that got it right. So let's see the leaderboard. Okay, we have Ibrahim topping the leaderboard currently with about 1,740 points. So we'll move on to the next question. So what is a common mistake that people trying to land a job do, as mentioned by the speaker? Doing as many projects as possible, people putting skills they cannot defend in their resume, learning a ton of skills, excellent communication skill. Okay, everyone, everyone got this right. All right, I think people are listening on this one. So let's see the leaderboard. So we have Ibrahim still leading the board with about 2,585 points. Oh, wow. So Akim was the fastest. That's 2,585 points. All right, let's see the next question then. So question 4, which is the second to the last question. Which of the following is a way to monetize your skill as mentioned by the speaker? Be knowledgeable, communicate openly, sell yourself, create content that adds value. Okay, everyone has voted. Let's see who got it right. Okay, so our speaker mentioned on creating content that adds value as a way to monetize your skill. So let's see who is currently leading the board. All right. So we still have, oh wow, Ibrahim has taken over. So we have Ibrahim with 3,449 points. So that leads us to the final question for today. And eventually we have our winner. So question 5, are we ready? All right. So let's go. Question 5 coming up now. Another key component, as mentioned by the speaker in positioning yourself right for job, is being authentic, getting knowledge, list out as many skills as you can on your resume, and be self-driven. Let's see how many people got this. Okay. Wow. So our speaker really emphatically mentioned on being authentic. We should list out the skills that we know that we can defend. We should be authentic. We should be our real self while positioning ourselves on the job. Getting knowledge is one bit, which is more or less the preliminary stage. But when you're trying to get the job itself, you need to be authentic. You need to be honest. And we have been authentic as the answer. Let's see who currently is leading our board and the final and the winner for today's quiz. Wow. So it was only Ibrahim that got it. All right, thank you very much. So Ibrahim is our winner for today's quiz. Thank you very much all for participating. And Ibrahim will be reaching out to you on. You can actually reach out to any of the admin on the group that's on the community group for your reward. Thank you very much once again for participating, each and every one of us. Thank you for taking our time um, to stay up to this particular time. I mean, it's over 1 hour, 30 minutes now, and we still have a couple of people still on the call. Thank you very much, guys, for staying on board. Thank you for participating. For as many people that would love to join the community, we shared the link on the chat. We share that again, once again. So you can actually join and get to learn more, as well as to enjoy a couple of the things that we've mentioned as well on AWS. So thank you very much once again, and let's have a beautiful and amazing week. See you guys later. Bye.